Hey everyone, welcome back. So you're trying to build a programming portfolio that'll really impress employers. It's a lot, right? Especially if you're like me and you've been reading like every article and every forum thread about it. Well, I found this really interesting article and I think it'll help. It's called Building a Portfolio That Impresses Employers, a guide for bootcamp graduates and self-taught programmers. It's a mouthful, but it's got some great advice. Ready to dive in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I really like that this article is focused on a specific challenge,
Yeah.
breaking into tech without a traditional computer science degree, right? Like it acknowledges how competitive it is and offers some real strategies.
Totally. It felt very relatable. So where do we even begin with this whole portfolio thing?
Well, the article jumps right into what employers are looking for, and it boils down to 5 key things, which are solid programming skills, grasp of computer science fundamentals, strong problem-solving abilities, and then there's algorithmic thinking. And of course, the ability to actually complete projects.
Okay, yeah, those all make sense, but I feel like we hear those things all the time, right? So is there anything in the article that kind of digs a little deeper? Like, how do those things translate to what employers actually want to see?
Totally, yeah. Think of it like this, like building a program. It's kind of like baking a cake, right?
Yeah.
You need the right ingredients, which are, your programming skills, your CS fundamentals, and then you need a recipe. That's your ability to think algorithmically, to break down a complex task into manageable steps.
Okay, so I'm following the recipe, then what?
Then comes the execution, the actual baking. That's where your problem-solving abilities and project completion come in. Employers need to see that you can take those skills and turn them into something tangible, something finished that shows what you understand and what you can do.
I love that analogy. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's not just a checklist, right? They all kind of work together, those 5 key things.
Exactly. And that's where the article's focus on heavy, challenging projects really comes in,
Yeah, I was really interested in that. It's easy to just think, oh, I'll build another to-do list app, But this article really pushes us to go beyond that, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. They use the example of building a search engine, but with an autocorrect feature. So anyone can use Google.
Yeah.
But to build something even remotely similar to that, it takes a deep understanding of algorithms, data structures, problem solving. That's the kind of project that makes an employer go, okay, this person can handle some serious complexity.
I see what you mean. It's not just about following a tutorial. It's about going deeper, showing that mastery.
Exactly. And they have some other really interesting examples, like building a recommendation engine, like those. You might also suggestions you see on streaming services and stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I always wonder how those work.
Imagine being able to say, I built something like that in an interview. Suddenly, your portfolio goes from simple apps to real world problem solving.
That's huge. So it's not just about making things complicated for no reason. It's about picking projects that really showcase a deeper understanding.
Exactly. And that actually leads to another point they make, which is how important it is to show that you understand data structures and algorithms, even within those bigger projects,
Okay, now you've got me really curious. Why are those things so important, even if, I'm not trying to be an algorithm specialist or anything?
Well, it comes down to problem solving and efficiency. Think of data structures as the tools you use to organize and store data and algorithms as the step-by-step process of working with that data. The better you get at those fundamental concepts, the more efficient and honestly, the more elegant your code's going to be.
So it's like the difference between building a house with a blueprint and just winging it as you go?
Exactly. When you get those concepts, you can even start to design your own custom solutions to problems instead of just using pre-built ones.
That makes sense. Although I have to admit, when I first read the part about designing your own data structures, that sounded a little intimidating. Can you give me an example of what that would even look like in real world coding?
Sure. Let's say you're building a social media app, right, where users can follow each other. You could use a simple list to store all the followers for each user, but imagine your app gets huge. Millions of users, thousands of connections. That list becomes really inefficient to search through.
Ah, okay, so the basic tool isn't enough anymore.
Right. But if you understand data structures, you might use what's called a graph data structure. Graphs are made for showing relationships between things and are way more efficient for searching and navigating large networks of data. So by making a custom graph for your app, you could seriously improve its performance.
Okay, that's a game changer. Building a custom data structure for a specific need. It's you're not just following the rules, you're understanding the whole system.
That's a great way to put it. It shows a much deeper level of understanding, that ability to create solutions that are elegant and efficient and tailored to the problem at hand.
It's a really powerful message to send to potential employers, for sure. So we've talked about challenging projects, showing our knowledge of data structures and algorithms, but what about the code itself? Sometimes I get caught up in trying to learn every new JavaScript framework that pops up. Like, will that really make my portfolio more impressive?
That's so common, especially in web development. But the article says something interesting about knowing languages. It's not about chasing trends. It's about showing mastery of the fundamentals.
So it's better to be really good at one or two languages and really showcase those well instead of having a little bit of everything on my resume.
Exactly. Focus on clean, efficient code that's easy for anyone to read and understand. And don't forget about clear documentation.
Oh, documentation. I'll admit, that's something I've been guilty of, not always prioritizing. But I get it, it's really important for presenting my work.
Absolutely. It's like walking someone through your process, explaining the why behind your code. Shows you're not just coding, you're creating thought-out solutions.
Okay, so we've put our heart and soul into these incredible projects. We've got clean code, thorough documentation. How do we show off all this amazing work? That's where the portfolio itself comes in, right?
Exactly, and the article had a really interesting take on this. It says, portfolio is more than just a project graveyard. It's about telling a story about your skills and your journey as a programmer.
Ooh, I like that. It's not just a dumping ground for code, it's more curated.
Exactly. And just like with any good story, presentation matters.
So no more just throwing code on GitHub and hoping for the best, although GitHub is still important, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. GitHub is fantastic for hosting your code and showing contributions to open source, but the article emphasizes going a step further.
Yeah.
Create a well-structured website as the central hub for your portfolio.
So it's like the difference between having a bunch of amazing ingredients and actually cooking a delicious meal and then plating it beautifully.
I love that analogy. It captures it perfectly. Your website should be visually appealing, easy to navigate, and it should showcase your best work in a way that's both interesting and informative.
That makes a lot of sense. So we're not just listing every single project we've ever done. We need to be more selective.
You got it. Think of it like a museum curator showing off their prized pieces, You want to choose projects that highlight your skills in the best light and ones that align with the kind of roles you want.
This is where I think I get stuck, honestly. I feel like I need to showcase everything, more is always better, but you're saying quality over quantity is key.
Precisely. Choose projects that you're genuinely proud of, ones that really show off your problem-solving skills and that demonstrate your understanding of those core concepts we talked about. Each project should be like a mini story about your skills and your journey.
Okay, this is giving me a lot more confidence about how to approach this, I have to say. So we've got this killer portfolio website. It's showcasing our best work. Each project tells a story. Is there anything else we can do to up our chances of landing that dream job?
There's got to be, right? Oh, for sure. The article goes beyond just the portfolio. It has all this advice for going above and beyond. It really felt like it was written for people without that formal CS background,
Yeah, for real.
One thing it really stresses is consistently working on those algorithm and data structure skills.
Right.
It's easy to put those off if you're not, trying to be an algorithm master. But the article makes a good point about why they're so important for any programmer, really.
So true. So it's not just about code that works. It's about code that's elegant, efficient, scalable. Like the difference between building a birdhouse and designing a skyscraper.
Exactly. And one of the best ways to get better at those is practice. Deliberate practice. They mentioned Algo Academy specifically. Have you heard of that? It's like a digital training ground for your coding brain.
Algo Academy, yeah. I played around with it a bit. It is pretty addictive, I have to say. Have you used it?
Yeah. I used it when I was first starting out to get ready for technical interviews. It helped me really solidify my understanding of those core algorithms and data structures, And it felt less like studying and more like solving puzzles, which I liked.
I love to hear that. It makes it seem less scary, like something we can actually do. And speaking of putting our skills to the test, what about those coding challenges the article talks about?
Yes. Platforms like LeetCode, HackerRank, CodeWars, they're amazing for practicing problem solving, but also for getting used to the technical interview process.
So it's like a safe space to practice those whiteboarding skills and get feedback.
Exactly. And every challenge you finish, it's like a data point on your profile, showing potential employers what you can do. Plus, some platforms even give you certificates or badges you can put on your portfolio.
True. It's not just about practicing alone. It's about having proof, right? It's like leveling up in a video game, but for algorithms.
I like that.